Britney Spears is not just the princess of pop. She's the queen of celebrity perfume. Her fragrance line totally changed the rules on what a celebrity perfume should be and created a multi-billion-dollar fragrance empire to rival even the most esteemed designer houses. In fact, Britney created the blueprint for the entire celebrity fragrance industry as we know it today. This is the pop princess of perfume. It's Britney, bitch! Episode 1, the popification of perfume. Britney Spears was not the first celebrity to enter the fragrance space. The path before her was carved by iconic stars like Sophia Loren, who actually kickstarted the trend of celebrities licensing their faces for perfume lines, Elizabeth Taylor, whose White Diamonds became the best-selling celebrity perfume of all time, and even Celine Dion, who had released a few fragrances the decade prior. But Britney revolutionized the fragrance industry just like she revolutionized the early 2000s pop music scene. She infused that same hit-making quality, that same je ne sais quoi that made her one of the biggest pop stars ever. She was the first pop star to mirror her already insanely successful music career with her perfume line, and it worked. Each new perfume that she released was like a brand new hit single hitting the radio, building up a body of olfactory art that rivaled her greatest album. The Fantasy perfume is an iconic and indelible piece of perfume history, the same way that Oops will always be a paragon of pop perfection. Say that 5 times fast. And just like her music, her merch, her music videos, her fans were all in on Britney's perfume. Some, like me, aim to collect each of them to have a complete collection. Others just choose the one that fits their personality. Sweeter, more floral, even more unisex. Britney gave her fans a discography of scents, just like a discography of music, and even interwove her perfume line with her music. When the Circus album came out, we got Circus Fantasy, and some of her perfumes are even named after her song titles like Prerogative and Private Show. This blueprint that Britney created changed everything. After Britney, celebrity perfume was no longer just about a one-time release. It was about building a franchise, a world that their fans could live in. You see it today, Paris Hilton's very successful and expansive fragrance line that spawned just after Britney's success, Ariana Grande's Cloud line, Sabrina Carpenter's Sweet Tooth line, even back in the day, Beyonce's Heat line, all following Britney's model. What made Britney so successful? Well, Britney's target demographic in the early 2000s was young teenage girls and the gays. This was the demographic that catapulted her into global superstardom and helped her break multiple music records, ultimately making her one of the best-selling musicians of all time. All time. But that same demographic was not one that was often catered to by the fragrance industry at large. Young girls were expected to shop at more juvenile places like Bath and Body Works.
Raise your hand if you've been personally victimized by Japanese cherry blossom.
Actual perfume was the purview of capital A, capital W, adult women. Now, you and I know that a teenage girl is, in fact, one of the strongest economic forces in the entire world. Teenage girls quite literally revived the entire vampire romance genre in one summer and made a middle-aged Mormon housewife a millionaire. Previous celebrity fragrances were made for older demographics, treating the artist's main demographic and the fragrance consumer base as 2 separate entities. Even J.Lo's perfume was aimed at the older 20-somethings, mid-30-somethings, bypassing her, at the time, contemporary appeal to the older teenage crowd. Britney's line was one of the first times in fragrance history that teenage girls were the main audience. And damn, did it work. Her first perfume, Curious, sold over $100 million in the first year. Just the first year. The girls and the gays were out in full force. Elizabeth Arden, Britney's manufacturer at the time, played it really smart. They knew that her fans would only buy into the Britney fragrance line if it was authentic to what Britney herself was already doing in her music. They made her perfumes fun, affordable, accessible, and tie into her music world to continue the music legacy that she was already building. For many young girls, Curious and Fantasy were their first perfumes ever. These are fragrances that they proudly wore to middle school and high school, and those scents will forever be tied to youth and the princess of pop. The Britney line of perfumes ushered in a new era of fragrance. It moved fragrance away from being a luxury and brought it into pop culture. Today, her line sits at almost 40 perfumes, I know, with more on the way, hopefully, under a new manufacturer. Since her fragrance line was so wildly successful, some fans have wondered what went on behind the scenes during her conservatorship and just how involved Britney was or wasn't during the height of the abuse that she suffered. We'll cover some of these topics in later episodes, but the good news is that Britney seems to be excited and more involved in her fragrance line now under a new manufacturer, and she's ready to embark on a new era of her fragrance empire, saying, "My fragrance business has always held a special place in my heart. It has always been a way for me to connect with my fans who I love. I'm excited to bring more beauty into the world with Give Back Beauty." Be sure to tune in for the next episode where we're going to do a deep dive on her first release, Curious, and how it changed everything.